being a Spurs fan and watching the team play the way they are.
Oh,
now, last night they didn't play well. They were very poor in the first half, I thought. But there was something about. I tell you what, on the 2 goals, Nat. Obviously, the first one's an own goal. But what I loved about it is James Maddison. The intention is just to whip it across the face of the goal. Do you know what? You might get lucky. Someone might stick their foot out, and it might be a defender. It might be your centre forward. That to me is a goal of intent, where you're trying to have the intent to score a goal in a position.
But also the intent came from James Maddison putting the pressure on Sam Johnston.
Yeah. Earlier, just before,
which then led to the throw-in, wasn't it? That Spurs eventually scored from. Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't, as you say, a great first half by Spurs, and Palace probably might have felt as though they could have got something out of the game from that first half performance. That being said, how do Spurs fans feel right now? Well, obviously they're jubilation. I'm sure they're enjoying everything about it. Not just the fact that they're top of the table, but like you say, it's the style of football. Having gone through the dross of Jose and Antonio Conte, they're just now seeing a team that's just driven to go forward. Yeah, and the second goal, Brennan Johnson comes on as a sub. Incredible, yeah.
And what he did, and the intent to get to the position to then square it for Heung-min Son.
Yeah.
That to me is a proper goal, where he's under instruction. When the ball goes in a certain area, you're out wide. Once it goes inside, you get in there. And that's how the goal comes about. So fair play to them.
Well, let's hear from the Spurs boss, Ange Postecoglou, because he shared his thoughts on going 5 points clear at the top of the table with us.
Really pleased just with the discipline the lads showed. It's a difficult place to come. You know, they're very well structured defensively. It was never going to be an open game. We're going to create a bundle of chances. So I just thought we showed real patience and maturity in the way we handled that. And then, once we got our opportunities in the second half, I thought, we scored 2 good goals, and our football through that period was excellent. I said a bit of drama at the end, but even then I thought we handled it well, for the most part. Like I said, difficult venue to come to, so pleased with the effort.
Yeah.
I mean, he's right about it was going to be a game of few chances. They only had 1 shot on target, and that obviously was the Son goal. Bear in mind, Crystal Palace had 3 on target in that game. But he's also right that the fact that it was always going to be difficult against a Crystal Palace side. They knew they'd have the lion's share of the possession, and that's exactly what Spurs had. But he also spoke post-match about just needing to be patient, biding our time, finding our way through eventually, and that's exactly what happened in the end by some diagonal balls that sort of split the team, split Palace apart in the sense of the diagonal ball will suddenly change direction of where the game was going.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a performance that you've come away and it'll be forgotten. You play Crystal Palace, who are clearly missing Eze and Alisse, so much in the midfield because of their creativity. And they've got a result, and you move on. I mean, at the times I've been involved in teams where you look back at a season, there's games you'll forget, and you want to forget, even though you've won them, because you didn't play your best. It wasn't a night for producing brilliant football, and they won it.
Yeah, exactly. This was the game this season that they had the fewest shots in of any of their matches so far. But as I mentioned, Postecoglou spoke about it was important just keeping the ball, being competitive, and just probing until finding that breakthrough. And that's exactly what happened. And as you say, to win a game that you've not played well in is a big plus.
Have you got the fixture list in front of you there now?
Yes.
Because they've got 4 of their next 6 Premier League games at home. And there's a couple of big London derbies in there, isn't there? There's like West Ham. I think Chelsea, they've got the play.
Chelsea's next. Yeah. West Ham are early December. They've also got to play Villa in that time. They've got to play Manchester City as well. So, they've got some interesting fixtures coming up, which might really tell us where they're at.
Absolutely. You're going to know if you're serious title contenders over the next 6 games for me, because there's a lot of big tests and you've got 4 of them at home. This is when you're going to find out how deep and how good the squad is, and are you really seriously going to challenge? I don't think they can. I don't think they're good enough. Or say good enough, that's a bit unfair. I think they've shown in the early part of the season they've got a lot to offer, and it is slightly different from the previous managers you've mentioned. Mm-hmm. But is it enough to win the title? I don't think so.
Even though they've got nothing really else to think about.
It's a great point. And what they do in January.
Yeah.
If they're going really well and they just add something. I mean, Richarlison, I still think is a big issue for them because they can't just keep carrying him and get away with it. And these games that are coming up, you're going to find out whether they're good enough.
But someone that stepped up is Heung-min Son.
Yeah.
In playing in that central role.
But he's done that before now, hasn't
he?
he?
No, he has. But this is now, you feel like it's a defined role because obviously he was just filling in when Harry Kane was injured in that central role. But he's now scored 8 Premier League goals in 10 games. He's already, just 2 short of equalling last season's tally.
Yeah.
So
well, he had a very poor. His season was strange last year. Because you go back the previous year now, he was joint top goal scorer, wasn't he?
Yes, that's right.
So it isn't. Yeah. He's capable of that high level performance, lots of goals. But there is something. There's a bit of a spring in his step, and sometimes when an incredible player at your football club leaves, there is a brighter future, but in a different way. And managers come in with a whole intent of being a very attack-minded team. I've always said, if you're going to win now, you're going to have to play an adventurous style of football because the laws of the game gives you an advantage.
Someone that's really stepping up as well is James Maddison. He's certainly enjoying life at Spurs. It was a much better response from Crystal Palace after that 4-0 defeat to Newcastle last time out. But as you mentioned, still finding it difficult to score. I know Jordan Ayew scored a great goal.
Yeah.
There was a VAR look to whether or not he'd handballed it, but they couldn't find conclusive evidence that there was a handball in that, hence why that goal was given. But they are missing those attacking qualities of Eze and Elise. Very quickly, Roy Hodgson was a little spiky.
Oh, he can be.
His post-match interview.
Well, I've been on a platform with Roy, and he's been asked questions with
platform 12.
Well, no, sorry. I've done an event or two, and Roy's been there, and I've sat next to him, and someone from the audience asked him a question on England. It was a year after the Euros 16. And the way he reacted, he can be really spiky. And I like him. I've sat next to him. I've talked to him, a very intelligent man. But if you get on the wrong side of Roy, don't be kidded by, he's this different old man. He will give it to you full on. Oh, yeah. He don't miss a trick, Roy. Well,
just something quickly to pick up on, something he said afterwards where he talked about the substitutions that he'd made. He said, maybe the young substitutes who we like and we thought could help us and bring us to a different level didn't show that, he said. They didn't do anything for us. Sorry, let me say that again. They didn't do anything for us at all, really. We became much weaker when I made the substitutions. I mean, that's damning of his young players. Is that sort of thing you want to hear your managers say?
No,
is that honesty acceptable now? I don't know.
He doesn't mix a trick because he'd been known via the media and things that have been written about a younger element to the team. And he thinks they have to be worthy of earn their stripes and be good enough. That's where Roy's coming from.